Our speaker today is Jill Lublin, and I, I know she spoke quite a while ago at the Inside Edge, and I knew her or knew of her before that. So she's a very charismatic and committed teacher trainer. She helps people a lot with marketing and publicity, but I just know kind of through she's strong. She's a strong teacher, and she is a 4-time best-selling author, and including Guerrilla Publicity and the Profit of Kindness, which is part of what she's going to be speaking from today. She's a trainer in person. She hopes, she said, in person and virtually, and also helps people get book deals. So I'm very happy to introduce our speaker today, Jill Lublin. Jill?
Thank you so much, Brooke and Diana. I'm just delighted to be back at the Inside Edge with all of you and appreciate all of you coming this morning. You know, today I'm talking to you about kindness, and particularly based on my newest book, The Profit of Kindness. And in fact, go ahead to the next slide, because what's interesting is that 15% of our financial success comes, of course, through knowledge and skills. And interestingly enough, 85% of financial success is literally formed out of our ability to connect with others. And what I have found, particularly with writing The Profit of Kindness, is how much kindness not only gives our life, of course, so much meaning, but also really enables us to connect at a deeper level in business. It has been shown that companies who create more kindness, well, guess what? They have higher profit margins. They have more fulfilled employees. They have happier customers. And it's just been a really wonderful journey of finding out how kindness has been so powerful to really impact so many others. And in fact, go ahead to the next slide, because what I want to show you, which I thought was really interesting, Panera Bread Company, you've probably hopefully all gotten a sandwich there once or twice maybe. And you know, it was a great story that I found this grandson of a woman, his grandma was actually dying. And he went to Panera Bread Company on a Tuesday because, well, she wanted clam chowder. And turns out Panera Bread does not make clam chowder on Tuesday. They make it on Friday. But when this young man walked into a small, you know, new Panera Bread Company franchise, and he said, you know, my grandma is dying and she wants clam chowder. Would you be willing to make it? I know you don't make it on Tuesday. And by golly, that woman, you know what she said? Well, I'm going to make that clam chowder. And she did. She made him clam chowder. She gave him a tin of cookies. Well, take a look at how many likes. It is over 300,000 engagement in kindness in action. That story. And let me tell you, that woman behind the cash register who was making probably, you know, minimum wage in a small town became a regional manager, still works with the company. Why? Because she practiced a kindness in action. And that is what's so powerful, is being kind every day, consistently and continuously. Whether you're working or not working, what we know is how good it is for your body, for your brain, for your friendships, for your life, for your heart. And those who are kind not only give, but also receive so much more. And I just think that is such a powerful and profound action. And you know what I love lately is how prevalent the word kindness is in the marketplace. I live in the Northern California area, and Dignity Health, a major health provider, is going around with buses that talk about the human kindness campaign. Honda, if you've seen any of their commercials, Honda, the car company, is doing kindness commercials. It's just really interesting to me about how much and how much kindness impacts the marketplace today. So go ahead to the next slide, because when I wrote the Profit of Kindness, what I ended up doing was defining what I call return on kindness principles, or this, or the 7 pathways to kindness. And so you can see on the slide all of them and what they're called, but I actually want to go through them one by one, just fairly quickly with you. And then afterwards, we're going to put you into a breakout session where you can actually talk about them. So go ahead to the next slide, because what I found with this is generosity. Let's talk generosity for a minute. Obviously, when you're more generous, you are kind, right? And so giving back is really important. And I saw a wonderful chats. Thank you for your give backs and your generosity and helping the I think it was excuse me, I can't remember, the elephant sealer on the beach, right? Taking your friends to a wonderful kind of tourism, that's generous time. I mean, the truth is really all we have every day is our time, right? Our energy, money, and resources. So let's use them well. And generosity is a key to that. How about next slide? Compassion. Compassion, my gosh, we really need that these days, don't we? In terms of compassion for others, the reactions, the things that are happening out in the world. Compassion is a real key. And you know what's been interesting to me through the whole COVID piece here is that compassion and kindness have been 2 words that I hear a lot, and I'm sure you hear them a lot too. Another return on kindness principle, go ahead to the next slide, is gratitude. And I think it's really important. Diane, I loved how you said, that was so great, about how you acknowledge every day, you know, something that you're grateful for. And I think that's really a key. I learned from Oprah Winfrey about, you know, to name 5 things I'm grateful for. And I actually do that every single night. I just do it verbally out loud. And that makes a big difference. I like also opening with gratitude for the day, because frankly, it helps, don't you think? You know, always being and finding grateful opportunities. What I've noticed, if I have a moment of anxiety or things that are happening in this world right now, what I do is I start looking for things to be grateful for. And that really helps shift energy and makes a big difference for me. The next one is positivity. So here's the truth. You can focus on what is happening wrong in the world, or you can look at what's positive and focus on positive, even if you have to make it up for yourself and what's positive for you in your life, because I'm sure there are many things. I remember one day being on the, I live on water, kind of very Florida kind of scene, and it's interesting. I went to the edge on the dock of the bay. Yes, that is a song too. And I sat on the dock, and I remember looking to my right. There were these clouds, kind of dark clouds. You know, it looked kind of ominous, like it was going to rain that day. And then, interestingly enough, I looked to the left, and it was bright and sunny. And it was this dichotomy in one day. I'm sure we've seen those kinds of days where you'll look up and you'll see dark clouds and looks like it's going to rain. But if you look somewhere in the sky, it also might look very bright. And for me, that really put into my brain about the power of looking sometimes in the direction where the bright is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just amazing that all I had to do was turn my head, and it was a bright and shiny and sunny day. So I kept my head to the left in that moment. And for me, that was a really valuable lesson about how important it is for where you look and what you're looking at and what you're looking for, which led me to the chapter on positivity. So go ahead to the next slide, because I think flexibility, you know, blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be broken. And I just think in today's world, what I've noticed, right, with my clients, with my virtual publicity classes, I mean, flexibility is so key in everything that I do now, because people's rhythms are slightly different, especially being at home. There's people I've noticed, I don't know about you, sometimes they've missed calls or been late to things. Timing has been off a bit. And so what I know is that flexibility is really key. So practice flexibility every single day. And I don't just mean yoga. I mean in your life. I mean sort of bringing in that compassion part. So it's okay if somebody's a few minutes late or things have to be rearranged at times. Flexibility is really key. And I think particularly going forward in the marketplace, in the world, that actually flexibility is one of the most important pieces on my return on kindness pathways that will actually guarantee success. Flexibility is key. And the next one, connection. Oh, patience. Okay, we'll do patience. Because funny enough, being patient is actually, let me just tell you, when I was writing the Prophet of Kindness and I came to the chapter on patience, can I suggest to you that I wasn't feeling very patient? And in fact, to be honest, I'm kind of a fast thinking kind of person. Patience is probably the most difficult one for me out of these 7 traits. And that's particularly why I wanted to write about it, because of course, in the writing about it, it's helpful in the practice of it, right? And I remember calling the utility company. Now, I don't know about any of you, but I'm sure we've all had these experiences where you're waiting on the phone for like an hour, right? When you're calling, sometimes, it could be your credit card companies, the car companies, the all kinds of, your mortgage companies, and particularly the utility companies. And by the time they came to me, I remember her saying, "Oh, thank you for your patience." And out of my mouth came, "Well, who said I was patient?" I love when people, yeah, thank you, Brooke. I love when people thank me for my patience, because I'm thinking, well, who said I was patient? It's just funny, but it's like an assumptive thing. And it's helpful in the practice of patience to keep practicing patience. So I just love that. I thought that was really funny. Go ahead to the next slide, because connection is so key. And particularly in today's moments, I think connection is really a key. I love that we're meeting on Zoom. I love that meetings are continuing to happen no matter what's going on in the world, because we need each other now more than ever. And seeing each other through Zoom and seeing each other through the ways that we get to connect is really powerful. I love it. I'm on these Zoom meetings, and little kids are wandering in, and people's grandkids and pets and whatever, right? They're all running through the room, and it's kind of cool because you get to see people's lives in action. And in a certain way, I think it actually has helped some of us even feel closer to each other. So I just have loved the connection. And I'll tell you that connection, interestingly enough, when I was writing the book, connection was the last word that came in. And what I realized is how important it was, because this book got written due to my 85-year-old friend. And I've been caring for her as she's been growing older. In the process, she needed help. She needed people to get her and take her to lunch and, take her to doctor's appointment. I remember running over there when she fell down one day, and she called in the middle of my workday. And one day when I was taking her out, because she didn't get out a lot, and I said, she looked at me and she goes, "You are so kind, and I wish that other people would be kinder." She said, "Wouldn't it be great if we had a new currency, the currency of kindness?" And it's my connection with Gloria that I thank to this day for helping develop the Prophet of Kindness, for being an inspiration because of our connection to write this book in the words she said to me. Because what I want you to hear is the words people say to you are often the very thing that inspires the next idea, the power of your next project. And I wish for all of you that same connection with all of the people around you. So what I'd love to do is put you into breakout rooms. Go ahead to the next slide. Because what we're going to ask you is, which trait do you find you practice the most and why? And which trait do you need to practice more of and why? Right? And Rebecca, I think you're going to give them some directions. And I know she put in the chat the 7 traits, so you can take another peek of those and jot them down if you need to. But go ahead, Rebecca, if you want to give them some direction, would be wonderful.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to go into breakout rooms, and the breakout rooms are going to consist of 4 people, and each person gets 3 minutes to discuss the proposed questions. There will be somebody who needs to make themselves the group monitor to let people know when their minutes are up. But at 1 minute, I'm going to send over you guys a warning saying, hey, you have 1 minute left, just so you have an idea of where you're at with your time. So 4 people, 3 minutes each. Somebody make yourself a monitor and let people know where they're at with their time, please.
Rebecca, let me say something just for a moment before we go into group to frame by way of appreciation. You know, that was wonderful, Jill, and you know, powerful. And what strikes me is I heard all these words newly, like I know these words, right? We all, and I got looking at them. No, I don't need to. And it struck me that in our world, you know, like when I hear the term Black Lives Matter, I don't immediately respond with kindness. I respond with some kind of defensiveness. And I just thought, like, I don't have to do that. That's, you know, and so that, you know, just a very nice explanation. So I look forward to getting to share about it. All right, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. You know, one of the things I'm learning, one of the most important skills in the new world here is remembering to unmute. You know, I started in, I was ready to go, and I went, oh, Brooke, remember, you must unmute. And
yeah, otherwise it looks like a Japanese movie, Brooke.
that's right. And
somebody's
then, you know,
talking and the lips aren't moving.
That's right. and then remember, there's that old phrase, how's this like your life? You know, so how is it like your life that, you know, when you're at a party, you must remember to unmute, you know, metaphorically, psychologically. So in a moment, I'm going to turn it back over to Jill for a kind of group discussion, group follow-up of your breakout sessions, and hopefully those were meaningful and articulate. I want to remind you that we have some gifts coming up. We have a raffle of one of Jill's courses and a gift from the Inside Edge. So that's our way of tempting you to for some thrills and suspense later on. So anyway, let me turn it back over to you, Jill, for and let's have some sharing in the group from what became clear to you as you were sharing in your breakout group. And so take it away, Jill.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to hear exactly what Brooke just said. What came up in your groups? Who'd like to share? You know, good, bad, indifferent. What showed up? The group I was in was having a beautiful discussion about one of the traits. So who'd like to share? You can either raise your hand in the chat. You can raise your hand physically and wave. Whatever works easiest.
So this is John. I've got my hand up here. I'm waving. A thing that came to me instantly was how it came to me right away when you were speaking, Jill, that each one of these positive attributes leads to all of the others. Rather than all leading to the one, it just seems like they're all interwoven. And what the question of what are we wanting or lacking the most or wanting the most, that created a great intimacy in the breakout room because we were telling the truth to one another. And
Wow.
and that's something that even in our big Inside Edge meetings, sometimes we don't have in full quantity. But the minute we own some area of vulnerability, it seemed to become more intimate and more beautiful.
Can I ask you to share particularly, because I actually heard that in my meeting room too, that I managed to come into. There was an intimacy and a vulnerability particularly, but will you share something particularly around that?
Well, I know in my case, patience was an attribute that I really need a lot of practice in. I'm very good with patience when I know the other person shares my viewpoint already. everybody's a good guy if they see things in the same enlightened way that I do. But if they have their own independent thought that might be different than mine, there are times where I just want them to get it over with and finish. And so, so that's, that's a great eye opener for me about myself, not about the other person.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Would anybody else like to share?
I can share if you like. You'll hear some tapping because my husband is fixing something out on the patio. But the one that I love the most is generosity. I've been noticing that anytime I'm really suffering is because I've got my focus on myself, and that's a suck, and that if I can just think of reaching out, maybe even sending an email to somebody I haven't talked to in a long time. This is a time that it's just too easy to be isolated, and reaching out in any way as a kindness, as a blessing, as an offer to, have a chat on the phone, just anything I can do to get my mind off of myself and get the energy flowing outward is what really seems to work for me.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you, Diana. Appreciate that. What I would love to do, is there anyone else who wants to share? Raise your hand or raise your hand in the chat, whatever's easy. I see another hand. Robin?
Thank you. I just wanted to bring to the larger group an insight that I thought was lovely in our small group, and that was that Karen Crilly shared. She made a real connection between patience, which three of us said were our hardest, was patience, and compassion, and the idea of self-compassion and patience with self. And I thought, that's really quite I don't know, I thought it was a great connection that, yeah, that's part of the inroad to the patience is the compassion. So the more I'm pretty good with compassion, I think, for others, but not quite as much for myself. But the more I practice, that, I think the patience will come better. So I don't know, just that link between those two, I thought was quite brilliant by Karen. So thank you for that, Karen.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. What I heard in my meeting room is same thing, Diana, that I think you'd be interested to hear, is the power of the intimacy of the sharing in these small groups have been quite profound, and people have learned things about each other that maybe they wouldn't have known in the bigger meetings. So I just want to presence that again, because I heard that also, how vulnerable people felt, how intimate people felt, and so I just really want to acknowledge that for all of you, how beautiful that is. I see, Lisa, you have your hand up.
I do. We had a former speaker, Dr. Clint Rogers, and I read his book because I'm going to be talking about it in a book club today. And the one thing that I got from there, and it ties into everything that you said, is when the doctor would meet someone, he would stop and look at that person as a divine being in front of him. And how may I serve you? And I think that all of this that we're going through right now is enhanced by coming from that place.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
If it's okay, I'd like to follow up on Lisa's comment. I'm in that same book club, and I'm reading that same book. And by the way, that book was introduced to us by The Inside Edge. It's Ancient Secrets of a Master Healer. And I just want to say, I don't want to steal your time, Jill, but we do get a lot of great books that come our way. And I think your book will probably be a good one as well. But I just want to put the plug in here that since I've been a member of the Inside Edge, we have come across great speakers, and they all offer great books. And those books are fantastic. I mean, really fantastic. And it's a blessing. It's a reading the books from the people who come and speak, allows us to carry the magic forward. Jill, I'm sure your book will be great too. We will probably get your book also and read it in the book club a couple of weeks from now.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. In fact, if I may, can I tell you, I want to share something. That's a great segue to tell you one thing that I wanted to share. If I may, Rebecca, go ahead to the slide on the profit of kindness, because I actually want to share something about the book and what happened, you know, because honestly, I mean, I'm a publicity person and I'm looking at how does kindness tie into publicity? And I, of course, being in publicity, understand the value and the power of it. So my intention was to create and get publicity. So I'm going to share something that I sat back like I would with any of my clients, and I thought, well, what's the focus of this book, and how can I get more publicity? Because frankly, as much as I'd love to say, woo, Jill's got a new book out, that's the story. It's not the story. It never is. Your business, your books, etc. So what I realized is our United States is really been the divided states of America. And that story is the story that got me out into 7 Fox News TV interviews in the first week, including Arizona, Las Vegas, Sacramento, Oakland, and CBS TV morning show in Virginia. Literally been on over 75 radio and podcasts and counting. In fact, I did 8 radio shows last week talking about the branding issues of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben and the Dixie Chicks,
wow.
right? Yeah,
Wow.
It's been really wonderful.
That would
I've been
be fascinating.
Isn't that
Absolutely
fun?
fascinating.
Inc. magazine twice and Forbes magazine twice. And when you have a moment, go look at theprofitofkindness.com. And one of the inspirations that has been really precious for me is a seed that God planted in my heart was to form kindness circles. And they are completely free. They happen every month. I'd love to invite you to the next one. Maybe Rebecca can put it in the chat. It's July 31st from 10 to 11:30. And we'll put how you register, which is jilllublin.com/kindness circles. And go ahead to the next slide, because one of the things that relates to one of the comment that someone else said, you know, people say practice a random act of kindness. I want you to practice a conscious act of kindness every single day. Diana said she reaches out, you know, and it helps flow the energy so that it's not just about you. And what I find is that every single day I will write someone a card. By the way, sending letters has become my new act of kindness. Who doesn't love to receive mail now these days? Actual mail. Wow, what a concept, right? And that's sometimes an act of kindness. Or send a text to someone, Diana, as you said, or just do something so that I know I'm in the practice consciously. That's the difference, not randomly, but consciously, the act of kindness every single day. So Brooke, I'm going to send it back to you.
Actually, let me make a comment, you know, as a member of the meeting, and then put my host hat back on as part of this discussion. You know, what strikes me, and again, I said, you know, I think I know these words, but now I'm seeing them newly, these words, these ideas, is I think the way we are normally go about life is we go, I would be kind, but I don't have time. Or I would be kind in this interaction, but I have to get ready to blank. And by spelling these out and forcing us, or forcing me, giving us the opportunity to confront kindness, then it looks like the act is to be free and go, wait, I can dismiss those reasons not to be kind, and be kind. Being kind is natural, or being kind is, you know, comes from me being in touch with me and whoever I'm interacting with being in touch with. So it's kind of a great coaching about how kindness works. So I just wanted to add that. That's what I'm getting from what you put together here. So
thank you, Brooke.
Thank you. All right, let's bring back Brooke, our host. Great, thank you, everybody. So, before we get to our raffle, I did want to ask Jill, what, I'm so happy to hear about, you know, what's been happening for you. what's next with this book? What's next with your work? Give us a few minutes on that.
Oh, thank you so much. So part of what's next is developing the kindness circle, and I invite you all in. That's been a lot of fun. And then what happened for me in all of this pandemic is that I actually completely redid my publicity course, which has been a wonderful way for me to help all kinds of people, whether you're writing a book or a business or sort of the next phase of whatever you're working on. And Rebecca, go ahead and show this slide. I'm going to actually show you that I've created this wonderful virtual publicity course. And I made it just really easy for everybody to come into. And that's been a really exciting project for me. So I teach a publicity course. It's one day, it's virtual. I'll show you a little bit about it. It's a small group, and we actually craft your message and actually get down and figure out what makes sense to get your message out. And people leave with 3 documents actually done and 4 templates they can use forever. And any project you're working on. So people have taken it for all kinds of projects, for nonprofits, for books they might want to come out with. I know, Karen, you mentioned that. Different projects for different people, but most importantly, the truth about publicity is it will drive everything you do. So what I'd love to do in honor of being back here is let you know how you can play with me, and I invite you into the publicity course. So let me just tell you that normally, go ahead to the next slide, the course has been over $1,000. Just that's the reality of it. And with the pandemic coming, and what I want to do is make it highly accessible to everyone. And go ahead to the next piece, because it's now $197. Only $197. And how you can register, go ahead to the next slide too, is you go to publicitycrashcourse.com and enter the code Stay Visible. It's all case sensitive and all one word. And go ahead and put that maybe in the chat would be marvelous too. You pick a date that works for you, and we will rock in and rock down and get your publicity done in a way that's simple, relevant, and right now, because I think a lot of people have opportunities right now to get your publicity out. Well, and whatever you're working on, that will make a big difference for your business. So that's what I've been working on, Brooke, is making my publicity course very accessible, changing pricing and making it so that everybody can come in and play with me. And most importantly, get their message out, because what I know for all of you is your message matters.
Great. That's great, Jill. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And thank you for letting us know what you're up to, and thank you for making it affordable. That's great. I want to make we're going to move on to the raffle shortly. I want to remind everyone that there's another occasional Inside Edge meeting hosted by John Distrakash. John, it's not, we don't have one scheduled right now. I forget what we call that meeting, John. It's sharing.
Yeah, it's really community connection.
Community connection, that's right.
Yeah. And we don't, you're right, we don't have one scheduled right now, but we're doing them, we have been at least doing them periodically on Mondays, on some Mondays. And it's a chance to do that, that thing of getting intimate together and speaking to truth in any topic area, really, that you all want to go in.
Right.
Some have found it valuable, so I hope that others, when we announce one, will want to come.
So I have enjoyed John's meetings before, and then participating in the planning and hosting of this meeting. I kind of want to reframe it a little bit, or add a benefit to it. It's, here we have to move pretty quickly. I mean, we could do this 2 hours or 2.5 hour meeting here with Jill and breakouts and everything, but we have to kind of keep it moving. And Bill talked about other great books. I would like to see John's meeting. That's a place where we can have more discussion or mentioning and following up of stuff that is touching us or is being meaningful to us. So maybe they go hand in hand. This meeting where we showcase one person and one book and one situation and get a taste of it and see what else may be possible. And then there's a chance for more sharing. So that's my vision. I'm kind of fond of it, so I hope you all will join it. All right, Rebecca, what's next? Is it our raffle or?
Yes, so we're supposed to be doing a raffle right now, and what it is very special. Jill is going to give away that course that she was talking about that is $197, but she's going to give one of us that, which is very generous. So what you're going to do that is you're going to use the chat. Remember earlier I said,
is the host eligible for this or not? I don't know.
I think you should be,
Okay.
right? Yeah, everyone.
I think he should be.
Yeah.
I just
So,
clear, and what about
Diane?
Diane? Is Robin eligible? I hope so.
Robin should
all
be eligible for it all.
Okay.
We're all eligible, and
Okay,
actually
we're all in. Okay.
Jill has actually offered 3.
3. Oh my gosh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
3.
so she's upped it to 3. So 3 people will get to win.
That's amazing. So the way you win is you chime in the chat a number between 1 and 50. Type a number between 1 and 50. Mahali's going to come on and do her special little wheel that randomly picks a number. So good luck to all of you.
Next item, our next item going up for bids is wrong show. Is we're going to have another breakout room, another time for another question related to kindness and related to what we're discussing. And I think, Jill, you're going to share that with us as we go into breakout.
I believe.
Yes, I'm actually.
Yeah. The question
ahead.
that we talked about was how you will include more kindness in this week, I think,
Yes.
unless you want to change.
Yes, that's right.
That's right.
And we're going to go and break out with 2 people at a time. And how many minutes? 3 or 4 minutes to share?
2 minutes.
2
each.
minutes. 2 minutes to share. So accelerated kindness this time as practice. So, just a second before we go I want to say hi to Pamela Chandel and say, Pamela, say hello to us. Give us 30 seconds from Paris, okay?
Minute.
Pamela had to leave.
No, she's right. She's right
She
there.
is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unmute, Pamela.
Sorry.
Hi, Pamela.
Okay, wait. Okay. No, I do have to leave, but I have a few more minutes.
Well, just say how's the weather in Paris?
Beautiful. The birds are singing. I live in Ville d'Avray, a little town just outside of Paris, and it's wonderful because I love birds and trees and nature and kind people and respectful people and culture, and it's all here. And we are now allowed. We can take a train in and a bus in. So I was in Paris once last week, but it's still strange. It's still strange, but I think France as a country is behaving well, relatively well compared to some other countries. And I think as a bulk, the French are more, they're very logical and, and I think there's a lot of engineers in France or something. They figure out how to do something and they do it. The French love the Americans, by the way, and they laugh at the Americans. And you think that these two countries are very similar. They're opposite in many ways. I mean, it's crazy. If you speak Spanish, Portuguese, blah, 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 it's easy to learn French. If you're an American or a British person, it's a challenge because the base of the two languages are different. And there's so many faux amis, meaning we have more words in our language than any other language in the world, I believe, because English went to so many countries. So there's a lot of things that has the same word in French, same word in English. You think you're saying something and sometimes you're saying the opposite thing. So very embarrassing things can happen. So one day I was very hot, as just we showed, and everybody laughed and laughed and laughed. I said, what's the matter? Because I was sweating. And they said, you're ready for sex. I said, I just said I'm ready for sex. And they said, yes, I'm hot. I'm ready for sex. I mean, so it can be dangerous speaking French, but I have some courage about it. And so that's the way it is. Okay. So take care of yourselves, okay?
right.
Let's all take care of yourselves and your families and friends, okay?
Thank you. And of course, Karen Crilly has written of her adventures in France. Hopefully you're aware of that. So I just wanted to tap into our internationalness briefly. And now I think we are ready. Let's go into our breakout rooms.
Would you repeat the question first for the breakout room?
Yes, how
Yeah.
will you be practicing kindness this week?
Good.
Yeah, how can you best bring more kindness into your life? Okay. I acknowledge myself for successfully unmuting again, once again. I think you all. All right, welcome back, everyone. Let's have two people share briefly about.
Oh, Brooke, we're gonna have to move ahead here.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm going to tell everybody what.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. We're too late here.
Yeah. So I just want to tell
let's-
everybody what's coming up at the Inside Edge. We have some amazing people coming up in the future. We've got Sarah Von Bronick, who wrote Simple Abundance, is finally scheduled, and Don Miguel Ruiz, and I mean, we've just got some amazing people. But right now on our schedule, next week we have Damien Minna, our own Damien, who was our host last week. He has a book called, let's see, well, Map to a Better Way is the name of his talk. And he is really teaching us about radical acceptance. And Damien was injured as a teenager and became a paraplegic and really had to learn how to radically accept his life and turn it into a thing of beauty. And so this is somebody who's speaking from experience. It's going to be an amazing time. On July 22nd, we're working on having Michelle Patterson here. She's been here before. She's been the head of the California Women's Conference. She's an amazing woman, but a year and a couple months ago, she was given 90 days to live with cancer. And she has created the best year of her life. And so we're hoping to have her with us on July 22nd. And then on the 29th, we have Loretta Bruning. She's talking about rewire your brain for happiness. She has studied all of the wonderful brain chemicals, you know, the serotonin, the dopamine, the oxytocin, and we can actually learn to control those things and have more of them because it's something our brain produces on as needed, but she's going to teach us all sorts of ways that we can build new pathways in our brain. So I'm really excited about what's coming up, and I hope you'll all be with us. Back to you, Brooke.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we're right at the end of wrapping up today. We're working with a new schedule, a shorter meeting, and we're still working out the kinks in a lot of ways. And for one, let's do a couple of acknowledgements as we wrap up. For one, I want to have us all acknowledge Robin Mullen, who's a force of nature with regard to the Inside Edge, and just is amazingly skillful and amazing gifts. And as some of us said at our earlier break, that, you know, we wouldn't be here without her. And, you know, all that she has done and is doing to keep us going and make it viable. So secondly, let's acknowledge the host, because that's something we do at this point in the meeting. That's me. Thank you very much. And lastly, let's acknowledge Jill, our wonderful speaker, and everything she brought to us today. Thank you, Jill. And
How about Rebecca?
Thank you.
oh,
And Marley.
yeah, I think there's a couple. Yes, thank you, Rebecca, for keeping us together. And thank you, Diana, for booking our speakers, being the co-host and co-pilot, and all the energy and wisdom you bring. And, you know, it's fun to, you know, I look at the group here, almost everybody is a friend of mine. I really appreciate our friendship currently and over time. So what a beautiful community. Go out and enjoy being kind and let people be kind to you. And we'll see you next time.
Can I add one thing that we learned in our breakout room?
Yes.
And it's a question, and Jill, I'd like you to hear it too, please. Our question is to ask ourselves, where haven't we been kind? And why not? Because that's the awareness that will help us break through some of the things that we really want to work with and also to share with others.
That's nice.
Okay, I would like to lead everyone in a closing exercise. So,
Also, could I just,
oh, sure.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, Diane, I'm sorry. For those who won, it's actually support@jilllublin.com. Go ahead and email us, please. It'd be great to hear from you. support@jilllublin.com.
Right.
And
One of those sessions.
thank you.
Great. So,
right, I'm sorry, but yes, Diana is going to lead us in the closing exercise.
okay, so if everybody would turn on your cameras, please. And Rebecca is going to play some music, and she's going to spotlight each one of us. And as we see these beautiful faces come up before us, let's put our hands on our hearts. Let's go into our hearts and let's send blessings to whoever's on the screen at this moment.
Love and blessings.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Blessings.
I think we've seen everybody. Back to you, Brooke. I think it's time for us all to wave goodbye to each other and go out and be kind and have the best time. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you,
Great week.
everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Next week.
Thank you.
Have a kindness week, and thank you for the circles.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you, Jill, for
Bye.
your wonderful presentation.
Yes.
Thank you, Jill. It was great.
Thank you.